loss of David Whitley in 1993 was tragic. I mean, the guy was like in his early 30s. He was driving home from a movie set in Austin. It was late, he was tired, and my understanding is he fell asleep at the wheel and was killed. I first met Whitley on my very first day of high school back in 1979 at R.L. Pass School in Fort Worth. And he was a big, haughty senior, and I was this terrified freshman. I remember he got to sit at this special table at the head of Miss Brown's art class, and I was amazed watching him paint these Dungeons and Dragons figures, giving each figure this meticulous detail, and we became friends, and by the end of the year, he convinced me to cut my first and only day of high school to see the premiere of The Empire Strikes Back, the whole time telling me that if the truant officer caught me, they'd expel me. And I believed Whitley.
Through David Hall, I met David Whitley that way, and then I think our first big project was The Empire Strikes Out, and he could do all these voices, and he was, had a lot of energy, and when we went and did Empire Strikes Out, Whitley he did a great oldie von Moldy.
Is that you, Buke? This is Artie. Hi, Buke, how are you?
6 years later, I did a live radio broadcast dramatizing Doyle's The Disintegration Machine, and Whitley came in and played a brilliant Nemor.
Most interesting, my dear Nemor, most interesting.
I agree. Place one of these anywhere in London, and I could sweep the whole city clean. Not one man, woman, or child would be left alive.
And then, to top that, Whitley performed several roles in our very first episode of The New Adventures of Captain Triangle.
Oh my God! It's a rhomboid stomper! This is Diamond Defender Tank number 1412. We've got a rhomboid stomper in section 346.
But now you must return to your more important job. Teaching the young.
Hard to do something and finish a creative project without thinking about Whitley. In fact, one of the first things I shot when I got a home video camera in 1982 was Whitley with his nunchucks. And he said, hey, look, I can do it in slow motion. And he said, hey, it would be really cool if you could slow down my actual motion and put it side by side with my slow motion on a split screen. Well, it took 25 years to do it, but I think Whitley did a pretty good job there. In fact, that same day we decided to shoot our first little dramatic sequence. First time I ever called action, was honored to do it for Whitley. And we shot this in camera, and this would lead to a collaboration of 6 more films I'd do with Whitley starting the next year with Joe's Motel. But we would come a long way by the time we did our last movie together, Fragile Expressions, in 1987.
Joe's Motel, David Whitley had a lot of fun with that because we got to kind of blow up part of the set. One of the beams fell and went right through the wall right next to where he was. It was a close one. We were very fortunate to have Whitley along. He did a great job on that, and he did a great job on everything he did.
Killer.
What are you doing here?
This is my house. Now get out of the pool.
I guess I'll try it. But what about her boyfriend? I mean, she stopped seeing him on account of me.
Go!
Woodstock.
Should be all right now, lad.
I'll be suspended, impeached, excommunicated.
I can be myself. You gonna be okay?
Yeah.
I'll be okay.
Wishes wouldn't have been half the movie it was without Whitley's contributions. Not only did he act, but he did all this artwork. There's a before and there's an after. And he even did a portrait of Libby Layton. Looks just like her, that we used. And then it was on to Fragile Expressions, our last movie together.
You dogged it like always, Webster.
Some of my fondest memories of Whitley are on the movie set, actually in between takes, when he would crack a joke or tell a story and just keep everyone in a good mood and keep everyone's spirits up.
I always thought it'd be funny if in Star Wars, when Luke comes in and presses a little button and 3PO jumps up, he has like some little wires hanging out. Oh! What are you doing back there? Nothing?
In fact, the suit he's wearing there is the time traveler in Wishes he'd worn a year earlier when he'd married his wife Jennifer, and he asked me to video the wedding as a gift to them.
I, David, take thee, Jennifer,
To be my wedded wife.
To be my wedded wife.
Whitley had many talents, but I always enjoyed watching him draw, and one day in 1983 I sat him down with a video camera and watched him draw from a photograph. It was stunning. And then I said, hey, draw me something real quick, and he whipped out his speedball, and in the time it took him to finish his cigarette, he'd drawn me this nice little drawing, which I still have. I think about Whitley often. Recently, when I went to see the first 3 Star Wars prequels, every time thought about Whitley. Whenever a new Star Trek series comes out, think about Whitley. He did get his name on the screen. In 1993, he was a special effects and makeup assistant on a movie called Flesh and Bone. So he was definitely on his way. It's a sad thing to wonder what this guy might have accomplished had he lived. He had more talent in his little finger than most people have in their whole bodies, and, you know, I miss him.
Look, I gotta go, kid.
Wait!